Hi, I'm Marty Nimko. How good a gardener are you? Well, here's a little quiz. It's all true or false. Number 1, true or false? Most plants die from too little water. True or false? 2, the quality of plants in big box stores is generally worse than in independent nurseries, and to boot, they're not much less expensive. Number 3, true or false? Heirloom vegetables, especially tomatoes, and maybe they're a fruit, but tomatoes, are on balance better than hybrids. Again, heirloom vegetables, especially tomatoes, are on balance better than hybrids. True or false? Number 4, when you buy a plant that's labeled drought tolerant or drought resistant, just water it once or twice during the first week you've planted it, then leave it alone. Otherwise, the roots are going to rot. Number 5, true or false? Rather than all-purpose fertilizer, it's important to use fertilizers formulated for the particular plant. For example, rose fertilizer, citrus fertilizer, vegetable fertilizer. True or false? Number 6, when planting, replace all the soil in your planting hole with potting soil or soil from another part of your garden. True or false? Number 7, once you've found a spot that grew great tomatoes in year 1, use the same spot each year. True or false? Number 8, true or false? The best apples, peaches, cherries, tulips, and citrus are grown within a mile or two of the California coast. True or false? Number 9, the best apple trees to grow are McIntosh and Red Delicious. They're both tasty and don't require a second apple tree as a pollinator. True or false? Number 10, true or false? The rose is a fine choice of shrub in most of the U.S. Number 11, true or false? Most modern roses are quite fragrant. True or false? Number 12, spraying peach and nectarine trees with a copper dormant spray will prevent peach leaf curl. True or false? And finally, number 13, over-fertilizing is the most common cause of citrus trees, normally dark green leaves, turning light green. Okay, it's time for the answers. All 13 are false. Number 1, the question was most plants die from too little water? False. Overwatering is the main cause of plant death. While plants do vary in their watering requirements, a general rule of thumb is to water when, if you put your finger an inch below the soil line, it's dry. Or use a moisture meter. The $5 kind is fine. Number 2 is also false. The quality of plants in big box stores is generally worse than in independent nurseries, and to boot, they're not much less expensive. False. Growers often give their best plants to big box stores because they stand to gain or lose a lot if they don't get reorders. And on average, the price of plants in big box stores is much lower than in small nurseries. Of course, if you'd rather support local small businesses and or you'd want a greater chance of getting competent advice, there are more competent people normally working at small nurseries, you may want to choose an independent. I'll read number 3 again and tell you why it's false. Heirloom vegetables, especially tomatoes, are on balance better than hybrids. Hybrids, on average, are better. They're more prolific, that is like more tomatoes, less disease, and better tasting on average. That's why hybridizers spend millions of dollars every year to develop new varieties. Take, for example, tomatoes. I'm picking tomatoes because it's the most commonly grown vegetable. While heirloom advocates tout Brandywine and Cherokee Purple, modern hybrids such as Orange Peruche, Early Girl, Big Beef, and Celebrity in most clients yield better results. That is, they're more prolific, less disease, better tasting. Number 4, why it was true or false, when you buy a plant labeled drought tolerant or drought resistant, just water it once or twice during the first week, then leave it alone, otherwise roots will rot. That's false also. Drought resistant plants need regular watering for the first 3 months or so. You need to water whenever the soil is 2 or 3 inches down and when it's dry at that level. Number 5 is also false. Rather than all-purpose fertilizer, it's important to use fertilizers formulated for the particular plant, for example, rose fertilizer, citrus fertilizer, or vegetables. Nope, we can save you some money here. General purpose fertilizer, even lawn fertilizer, which is very high in nitrogen, which is the main element that plants need, works fine and is much less expensive. That is, all of those are, but especially lawn fertilizer. An exception is for acid-loving plants like blueberries, rhododendrons, and azaleas, which do better with an acid fertilizer. Look for one that's labeled azalea or rhododendron food. The sixth one is also false. When planting, replace all the soil in your planting hole with potting soil or soil from another part of your garden. That is false. Most plants do better in all or mostly all native soil. That is the soil you dug up from the planting hole. If your native soil is clayey or sandy, before planting your plant, mix into that soil 20% compost, either the bags you get in the store or something that's dark brown from your garden, leaves, rotted leaves. That'll promote root development. Adding that 20% also yields another advantage. It's going to raise your plant 20% above ground level, which improves drainage. If you're replacing a rose bush with another rose bush, replace 50% of the soil. Number 7 is also false. Once you've found a spot that grew great tomatoes in year 1, use the same spot each year. No, the soil gets depleted from those vigorous plants. Tomatoes are very vigorous plants. They grow a lot very quickly. Every third year, use a different planting hole, even one that's just 2 feet away. Number 8, also false. The best apples, peaches, cherries, tulips, and citrus are grown within a mile or 2 of the California coast. That's false too. Those plants do much better 30 to 100 plus miles inland. That's why so many commercial growers of those plants have their farms in California's Central Valley, not on the coast. That's because away from the moderating marine influence on the coast, there are more winter days under 45 degrees, which is required for many fruit trees, and there are more hot summer days to encourage fruit to ripen to their full sweetness. Number 9, also false. The best apple trees are McIntosh and Red Delicious. They're both tasty and don't require a second apple tree as a pollinator. And that is false. Most traditional varieties of fruits and vegetables, and of course McIntosh and Red Delicious are very traditional, have long been improved, for example, by those hybridizers I mentioned. For example, better tasting apples include Jazz, Fuji, and Honeycrisp, although those, like McIntosh and Red Delicious, require 2 apple trees to get decent fruit set. You want only 1 apple tree? There are self-furrow varieties such as Queen Cox and Granny Smith. Number 10, also false. The rose is a fine choice of shrub in most of the U.S. In most parts of the country, there are better choices. Roses are too subject to fungal diseases, insect damage, winter kill, and they require annual pruning and more frequent trimming of those thorny canes. Now, I grow roses because I live in the perfect climate for roses. I live roughly 15 miles east of the California coast. If you do also, here are my favorites of the dozens of varieties I've grown. Black Magic, gorgeous, long-lasting, deep red flowers on a gawky plant. Oh So Easy, OSO, easy Italian ice. It's very floriferous, lots of flowers, healthy, pink-tinged yellow. And 2 miniatures I really like. They grow only to about 1 foot tall. Mini Pearl, perfectly formed pink, gorgeous. And Rainbow Zen, perfectly formed red-tipped yellows. Now those varieties are kind of hard to find in local nurseries, but if you Google them, you will find them online. Okay, next one. Let's see, the next one is, right, number 11. This is also false. Most modern roses are quite fragrant. Most modern roses are not very fragrant. Hybridizers have focused on disease resistance and flower form, and so fragrance has usually not been a priority when choosing what parents to breed with and in selecting seedlings for introduction. The good news is that fragrance in roses is overrated. You may smell a rose for moments, but a rose bush gives pleasure throughout the years. If you do want a fragrant and otherwise good rose, try Sunsprite, a brilliant yellow, Double Delight, deep pink tipped in white, Mr. Lincoln, a deep kind of purpley red, or At Last, which is orangey. Number 12, also false. Spraying peaches and nectarines I'm talking about the trees, with a copper dormant spray will prevent peach leaf curl. Not true. Unfortunately, the more effective lime sulfur spray, which had been available for 150 years, now requires a license. The available copper dormant sprays aren't very effective. Consider getting instead a 4-in-1 tree that has early, mid-season, and late-season curl-resistant varieties of peach grafted onto one trunk. And finally, number 13, which is also false, the item was over-fertilizing is the most common cause of citrus trees normally dark green leaves turning light green. Nope, that is false. When most citrus leaves have turned light green, it's usually caused by underfeeding. Oranges, lemons, grapefruit, like a full dose of granular, general-purpose citrus or the better value lawn fertilizer around the tree's drip line, that is its periphery, every 2 months. Okay, a very arbitrary scoring key. If you got 12 of the 13 correct, we'll call you a garden guru. If you got 9 of 11 correct, you grow girl, or guy. If you got 6 to 8 correct out of the 13, that's pretty much a chance, you have some growing to do. And if you got 0 to 5 right, you ever think about growing artificial plants? In any event, I hope you liked that little quiz on how good a gardener you are. As usual, I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.